today I think we're going to go through sort of I'm not really sure what we're going to end up with at the end of it, but a plugin or some sort of API functionality to pull in YouTube transcripts into your statically generated site. And I think that the sort of unique piece of this is that it will make all of your video content and the things that you say in your videos then searchable in your statically generated site. So we want to sort of expose our video content and the audio through the transcriptions back to our website so it can be available in our static output.
That's it.
And I think it'll work great. Yeah, I think we've done just a little bit of research ahead of time to sort of see what plugins and is available in the ecosystem they can use. And I'm going to just go ahead and assume we can use this existing video that we have on the Cloud Cannon website. It's live editing content on a Levity website in Cloud Cannon. And the best part here is that it already has closed captions and transcripts assigned to the video and through the YouTube API. So all this stuff exists on YouTube now, and we want to pull it back into our static website. So at the end of this, I mean, it'd be nice because I have this video posted on my personal website. It'd be nice to get the full transcript here that shows up in the body of the content so that when people go to search, they can see that content available in the search. And that's the search is just using PageFind, which is a static site search plugin that Cloud Cannon also is developing. So I think it's going to be a combination of all of these different things together, and it's going to be great. And so one of the things that I think that we want to sort of avoid, if possible, is using the YouTube APIs, because those are pretty gnarly when it comes to authentication. There's a lot of different steps you have to set up. So we did actually find an NPM package called YouTube Transcript. It's got about, almost 6,000 weekly downloads. So it's good. I think it's a good option. And it's very easy. There is no sort of extra authentication you need to do with the YouTube API. It just works by fetching a transcript from a video ID.
2 lines.
And you can sort of, it's amazing. And I have it up here on the left. And I'm just using the same video API, or excuse me, the video ID here in the URL. And I just feed that right in and we can run it and see what the output is. And that's kind of it. We have a bunch of text here, and those are all the different caption text content. We have the duration here for each one of these closed captions. And then I think the offset is maybe just like the start ID or the start time from the beginning. If you scroll all the way back here from, maybe it'll, where's my
0? Yeah,
if we scroll all the way, the offset's a 0. So it starts at 0.
In milliseconds, I guess.
Next one starts at 950. Yeah, that's great. So maybe the interesting part here is hooking up this offset to deep link back to the videos, and we'll see if we get to that. So that is like most of what's going on here. That's the hardest part of what's happening. I think eventually, so maybe the piece that we want to wire up today is maybe hooking it into an 11D site, so we can see how to sort of feed that content back into a page.
Should we talk a little bit about how someone will actually use this?
Yeah, we need to sort of wire up a piece that exists in 11D's universe that will allow us to feed that video ID back to our YouTube transcript NPM package. And I think the most straightforward way to do that right now is through a shortcode, an 11D shortcode. And I think that there's just a bunch of different ways you can do this. You could do it with any functionality that's sort of async friendly. You could do it in a WebC component. You could do it in a global data file. But I think really the piece that I feel like makes the most sense is, at least on my personal site, I have the YouTube sort of IDs for the videos that I already want in my front matter. And so, yeah, I think just having a shortcode that then lets the application developer decide where to put the content in the blog post, I think is maybe the best way to slice this. But if you have other ideas, please let me know.
Nice. We have quite a few, we got at least 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 people in the chat. Yeah, so shout out if and yeah, give us ideas as we go. We don't really have a plan for this. We're gonna figure it out. So let's do it as a group.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe the best thing that we could start with is just by cloning the 11D base blog project and starting with just like a very bare bones blog project, and we can show how to feed that back into a markdown file to output.
Yeah, let's do that.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so we can go up to the 11D repo. We can get the URL here, and we can clone it manually or down here. Let's see, get clone.
Hey, David.
Able to do that
David Darns
directly.
in the chat.
David Darns. So yeah, we'll clone that into the 11D base blog. We'll install the dependencies there. David Darns, what up? I really need that sound from David. That's why. Can we find it real quick? David Darns. While our npm packages are installing. He has a fun audio.
We don't. I don't think we don't have audio on that.
No.
You gotta imitate it for us though.
Yeah. It's David Darns. Well, he rotates through a bunch of different.
That's awesome.
Bunch of fonts, and they're amazing. But yeah. So yeah, well, I think we also need to install the YouTube transcript.
10 minutes and you're almost done. Yeah. I mean, those 2 lines do a lot. They get us at least halfway.
Yeah, I mean, this is our first stream too, so we wanted to not have a super deep scope creep. We wanted to be able to get through a full project here, but yeah, let's go back into, so we have that. Our base blog, we don't need this anymore.
Yeah, our goal was to have a minimally scoped thing that could have kind of the biggest impact and usefulness we could think of. Like, I think for like a conference website, if you've got YouTube recordings, just being able to have a page that has the video and then full transcript below, and really not having to do much to get that, I think that will be a really useful tool.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the stretch goal here is going to be we'll output the content and then also have deep links for that content to control the video on the page too.
Yeah.
I would like it to go 2 ways. But yeah, we'll walk through that. So we have the base blog running. We have next we'll sort of include our YouTube transcript. Oops. ESM. Oh no. I guess I didn't test if this is CGS compatible, but we'll find out. All right, so we've included this. And now what we want to do is create a new shortcode, and we'll just do this at the top of the configuration file. Call transcript, and then we'll feed in the video ID.
Just looking how this plugin actually works, this library, it kind of emulates a browser and then grabs the auth cookie and yeah, just kind of acts like a regular user as far as YouTube's aware. Pretty clever.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's this interesting tension between making your APIs as beginner friendly as possible and productive as possible, and sort of having bad actors abuse that. So I mean, I'm sure this isn't like the most stable long-term solution, but it works today, and it will never go down once you have that content cached locally. So we have sort of that. Let's find a blog post. Let's just go to the 5th post, and let's put this YouTube ID in our front matter so we can reference it. And we can then do transcript YouTube ID and call the shortcode from our blog post.
Done.
Not quite done. Yep, we need to. You'll see this is rendered as a promise, so we need to wait for that promise to come back. Getting closer. We can just do stringify if we want to show the output. Hooray! Look, it's output. So yeah, so we have sort of now we have the transcript shortcode wired up to the YouTube API and wired up to the YouTube transcript package. Now I guess we'll probably just want to iterate over that. I think that the best idea that I could come up with at this point was to create or use a definition list. Since it seems like we have time codes and text, and that seems like a good way to match those two up. But we can also use a table, I guess. I don't know. What do the HTML experts think we should use? We can do. I'm going with that.
Yeah. The chat is stumped. So it's a very difficult decision.
Yeah, and then we have this, and then we'll output this. So we want to loop over our content. And I think we'll do, I don't know, time.
DL seems pretty good, actually.
Time output. And then just put the offset here. Maybe we can organize this a little bit better. We'll have offset, and then we'll have our text. Typing. What is typing? All right. So now we have our HTML mapped here. Let's return that in our shortcode. Yay, we did it. Look at this. Incredible work.
That's it.
We have our giant definition list.
I mean, it's got all the data you need for the GUI we talked about before. We click on one of those pieces of content, it will take you to that point in the video.
Oh, I see what's happening. So we have these commas here. We want to join our content here without those commas. All right. Yeah, so maybe the next is to include the video output. sort of wrote this blog post on my website not too long ago about the YouTube embed and sort of how large it is and how I try to avoid using it at all costs. And I think a better alternative is this Paul Irish light YouTube web component. Yeah, I think it's great. I use it in everything.
Yeah,
I think we might just want to use that here.
I haven't done a normal YouTube embed since this post. It's yeah, such an elegant solution.
Yeah, I feel like maybe if it were just one, if it didn't grow linearly with every single instance, then it wouldn't be so bad. But when you have like 2 or 3, they just like every one costs 1.2 megs. So it's, yeah, I don't know. That's too much for me. So yeah, we'll go back and install this other one. I don't remember what the package name is off the top of my head now. There we go. Light YouTube embed. We'll save it and make sure that I showed up error. All right, great. How do you, I guess it's like a style question. How do you have any personal preferences on how you organize your dev dependencies versus dependencies in application code? I feel like I don't know, maybe I'll let you go first if you have an answer, but
so I usually
I feel like I do it differently based on the project.
I start in alphabetical order, but soon that'll get out of whack, and then it's a free for all.
Yeah, I feel like when I'm making an application, like when I'm doing a non-plugin style thing, I put all of my like build time things in dev dependencies, and then all of my browser things in like client-side browser components into dependencies. So I did this one wrong, but yeah, I think this looks right.
Makes sense.
All right, so we have that. The other thing we need to do is to look in our node modules to find the actual file that we want to include on our front end. So we have a light YouTube embed. We have 2 things, a CSS file and a JS file. So one of the things that I think would be better in 11D is if we had a little bit better way of including those into the front end, but we're just going to use pass-through copy for that for now. Light YouTube embed.
David, it's questions like these that make me feel better about my own uncertainties.
Yeah, for sure. Isn't that the magic of streaming though? Just seeing people question themselves live to make sure that we're doing the right thing. All right, so we have, where did that node module go? There it is. Okay. Source and light to embed. And that'll do it for the JS one as well. Oops. All right. So let's look at our output here and see if that's the actual location that we want it to exist in. Maybe we need a JS folder. All right, let's just see if it came in the output. Oh, maybe we need to run a build first. I don't see it. because I named it the wrong thing. Why did I rename it? We'll never know. Okay. Try again. Oh, here we go. I was on tilt. I'm back. All right, so now those files exist in our output, and we can reference them in our layout.
Nice.
All right, let's look in our network tab. You can see that they're both being loaded here. Now, I think ideally these would probably be better loaded in the component itself, but just for simplicity's sake, I think we're just stick with putting them up in the top right now.
Yeah.
I'd probably use island to load these inside of the component, and maybe even when the component is only visible, but we'll just dump them in the top for now. Yep. Okay. Where are we at now? Oh, we got those in place. Now we want to use that to reference the file. All right. So one of maybe the annoying things about Markdown is that when you encounter a custom element in Markdown, it doesn't always know to enable the HTML parser when it encounters an unknown element. So we're just going to do it like this and wrap it in a div. I'll put the YouTube ID here, and then maybe also, I don't know, the title. And yeah, we can look at the rendered output. There it is, our video.
Yay.
Incredible.
And transcript.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I think that maybe the next part is just, maybe hooking up the transcript links to link directly to the video. And if you look inside of the Lite YouTube Player API, there is an iframe embed API that you can reference. Let me go to the source code here. Let's see, Lite YouTube embed.
David, I didn't know about MD not understanding web components. Shame. That is the sort of nice escape hatch for elaborate HTML on the page.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just comes down to the Markdown parser sort of needs to know what is a block level HTML element and what isn't. And I think it assumes that, I mean, we can see what happens when we remove this div and see how it renders.
Wraps a P.
Wraps it in a P, yeah, which I don't think is what you want. But maybe it's fine in this case.
Yeah.
It's just overly cautious.
So it's just, is the Markdown think that is all Markdown, or does it think it's HTML?
So it interprets this as a Markdown line.
Oh, I see.
With HTML inside of it, which I do not like, because if I want a block level element, then I mean that goes back to, I feel like, to the web component specification for custom elements, because by default, custom elements are not block level elements. They're sort of inline elements, which I don't really like as a good default, but maybe it's definitely more cautious default. I wish that it were block level by default, but it is what it is. So you'll see that when you wrap it in at a known block level element or a known HTML element, then it will escape out to HTML for the entire line rather than wrapping it in a P. But yeah, just a quirk of the Markdown IT parser, I think.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. So we have the video where we're spelunking through the YouTube API here. So we have YouTube API promise. I wonder if we can do that. Well, let's try it, see what happens. Let's move this this other stuff back to our individual file too. Let's put it all together. We didn't need to do that. I don't know why I did that, but yeah. So let's select our YouTube. What was it? Was it Light YouTube? I always forget that name. Let's see if we can operate on it. All right, so we have that. We have our custom element selected, and that's working fine. Let's try and fetch this YouTube API promise so we can make sure that it's available. Undefined. Let's see if we have access to the top level. Global, no. What can we hook into here?
It'll assume it opens up the actual YouTube API, like embed. I wonder if we switch to the iframe.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But again, we have to wait for that element to load. Is there a... Surprised there isn't a, let's close some of this. So we want to get the player. Basically, we want access to this seek_to method. But how do we get access to the player? Here we go. This is what we want. They tie into a top level global. Yikes. Okay. Should have read the documentation, huh?
Well, that's what the 3 megs of JavaScript is getting you. Bunch of globals.
YT. All right, let's find out if that worked. Nope. Okay. Well, maybe we should move on from this step. I thought that would be more straightforward.
Yeah.
Script. Surely we don't have to load an independent JavaScript.
That function won't exist when the page loads, right? Or only when you click on the YouTube video.
Oh, the iframe?
Yeah. I'm not sure if that would matter.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, let's go back and see what happens when we hit play. Oh my goodness. Did it run though? No, it didn't run at all. Tragic. Oh, it's because we're using script type module. That would be super sad. Yeah, because all those globals will be scoped. But we can do. Well, let's try this first and see what happens. All right. I think we maybe need to assign this to the global. Which is the best. We're loving this. Okay. I don't know what the YouTube API is doing.
Yeah. I mean, I find the Google APIs in general to be very difficult. Just,
sure, we can figure this out later, but
yeah. All right,
I feel like we should just move on to the search part.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, but we'll get that hooked up later. All right, so the base block doesn't actually have page find search in it yet, so let's add it real quick. Yeah, so this is page find. It's a completely static search functionality for static sites. And it doesn't need an application server, which I think is amazing, and I love it. Not only do I have when I use this, I have full control over everything because it doesn't require any sort of external third-party service or like software as a service to run, but it works on any host as well, which I think is amazing. So yeah, let's get started.
And purely, we'll add that purely like client side as well. No servers running anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I had this running on GitHub Pages, which I think is pretty incredible. All right, let's install it. How do we install it? What's the install? npm install page find. Is it just page find? Oh, here we go. Yeah. And we need to include the assets for this. We'll put those in our 11D layout. Clearly missing syntax highlighting for nunjucks. I feel like I had that at one point, but I cleaned out a bunch of my extensions because VS Code was getting a little slow.
Needs a bigger button. Yeah, where's the docs?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Wait, who said that?
David.
David Darns. Yeah, we'll put our search element down here. And then we'll add another the script to the footer. And we'll get our white space correct. All right, so we have our assets, but we still need to run the command line tool to generate our index. So let's do that. Nope, we'll do that. Oops, underscore site, I think is the, whoa, what just happened there? It's the output. You'll see it discovered one language. I mean, one of the coolest things that I learned recently about PageFind is that I was building this internationalized site, and it had a Spanish version and an English version, and PageFind just segmented those search results for me automatically, which is such an amazing feature. I love that. Just like for free, it found the lang element on the lang attribute on my HTML element, and yeah, just worked right out of the box. I didn't have to do anything. That was incredible. All right, we'll start our server back up. You can see our search down here at the bottom. All right, and then we'll maybe search for Cloud Cannon. And you can see that our 5th post shows up because that content is now available directly. I think another thing that we could do here is, maybe not in this video, but we could hook up the video ID to show up in the search results, or just show the poster image in the search results.
Yeah.
I think that'd be a cool functionality. I think the PageFind just looks for the first image and the output. So yeah, I feel like that would be super quick to wire up. We can do that. We have a couple minutes. I don't know. Let's try it and see what happens. One of the other tricks that I use to do YouTube poster images is 11D has this Open Graph Image API, and it will sort of return a very high quality image for a YouTube URL. So if we just call out to this API to fetch an image, we can do that for a YouTube URL. So let's go back to our video URL and get the full video. Another trick that I use, at least for just testing these, I have an API Explorer that lets me put in URLs, and it will show me all of the different
that's awesome.
results that come back. So I can just sort of copy and paste them if I don't want to wire up everything. Yeah, which is great. Although this doesn't look right, but it's showing an ad. Yeah, the screenshot is different than the Open Graph image. So yeah, I might just copy this image directly since it has all of the markup I need. You do a picture one too. Why not? Let's just do the picture. And we can put that here right into our post, and we can show that it's rendering here. All right, and this is sort of our poster image. And we don't necessarily need this to show up in the rendered output, but we could segment that out of the blog post later if we want. But let's go ahead and run the PageFind index again and see if we get an image to show up in our output. Hey, there it is.
I scroll up a little bit. Your face is currently, or
wait, what?
Your face.
Oh, scroll. Oh,
yeah, there we go.
I don't know how to. Oh, we need to have more content at the end.
We can see it.
We're gonna do margin bottom. There we go.
That'll do it.
That will be much better. Yeah, there it is.
Nice.
Yeah, I think that's kind of it. I mean, getting the deep links sort of hooked up is probably the next step, and spelunking through the YouTube iframe API is probably the next step to get that working. But I think maybe the cool part that we could get to after we get that hooked up is that PageFind can do sort of deep content links as well. So when you're searching, which I think is another very cool feature. So
yeah, no, I think it's pretty cool. Like we could get all of this working in an hour. Thanks, big Anlo. I'm gonna Turn up my gain a bit. Said it was a bit quiet. How's this? That's probably a bit louder. Yeah, so we're gonna do this as a weekly stream, and just build stuff on stream. So this was the first project where we have built this, the ability to embed a YouTube video. Well, we embedded it using the web component, and then we created a plugin that transcribes it. So those next steps are, be nice to be able to click on one of these pieces of content and go to that point in the video. Yeah, and then we're just going to keep tinkering on it and playing with it. There's a lot we can kind of do in this space and just keep building cool stuff for static websites.
Yeah, and web components. Woo!
Yeah. We're going to make this recording available afterwards as well. So Big and Low, thanks for joining. You can catch up on what we built soon.
All right. Yeah. Thanks all.
Thanks, team. We'll see you next time. See ya.
Bye.